movie nerds, and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we are going to talk about Orphan Black Echoes. Now, this is kind of a reboot, continuation perhaps of the Orphan Black franchise. I guess it's a franchise now that we've got two seasons completely separate of each other, like two different shows completely separate of each other. I will have to start off just sort of saying I miss Tatiana Maslany. I miss her. I really had high hopes for her with like the She-Hulk series just because I very much loved her in the Orphan Black series. I thought she was incredible in that one. I really enjoyed that. The difference between the two is the original series is marked as a drama, and Tatiana Maslany plays like the main character of Sarah Manning. She sort of finds out that she is a twin, which for those of you who like haven't watched Orphan Black, I don't know why you wouldn't. Go watch it right now. But she finds out that she kind of is more of like a genetic experiment, you know? So there are different versions of her, and she kind of figures this all out and goes kind of down the rabbit hole, if you will, of this scientific organization that has been cloning her. In the new Orphan Black Echoes series, it is categorized as a thriller series, which just to start off, I feel like is wrong, but we'll get to that. Krysten Ritter plays the new character of Lucy, and I went into this one sort of expecting the same general feel, like that sort of dirtier, grittier sci-fi sort of drama element, even though this one, they kind of bumped it up a notch and called it a thriller series. But they went weird. They went weird with Orphan Black Echoes. They went left pretty quick in the series. Instead of it being sort of like genetic modifications in the new series. Spoilers, sorry, but this is like 2 minutes into the episode, so anyone who has any intention of watching Orphan Black Echoes will learn this detail like right out of the gate. That in Orphan Black Echoes, they are not genetically like modified people. They are like 3D printed. 4D printed, correction. But essentially, there is a machine that just 3D prints them, and they lost me pretty much right out of the gate with that detail. It wasn't like Westworld, where it was sort of, you know, like robotic casings, if you will, that just sort of have like flesh and blood toppers. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like that. They are talking about a new technology that allows them to just 3D print a human being, like a human specimen. And that to me, I was like, womp, this is dumb. Especially because like the liquid is like pink, and they show kind of some scenes of it, of like another sort of specimen, I guess, coming out of this liquid. And it legit just looks like, if you are familiar with what 3D printing sort of looks like, it looks like that. And it just was immediately just sort of lame to me right out of the gate. And then the acting in this is just, oof, like, the storyline for itself kind of just doesn't make that much sense. Like, but the acting in it just sort of seems very, this is always my comparison when I don't like the acting in something. It's very CW. It kind of reminds me of like maybe a daytime television series, you know, like Days of Our Lives, or like As the Orphan Black Turns. It's like that. It kind of reminds me of that. Like it's overly dramatic, but in a silly way. Like there is a scene in the beginning of the pilot episode, like the first episode that you will watch, and she's sort of trapped inside this room, like locked inside this room, or like it kind of looks like an apartment from the inside. And so she moves this lamp and picks up this little table that the lamp was sitting on, and she's gonna break a window, and she throws this table at the window. And to me, it kind of looked like if you were to ask someone, how would a girl throw? And the sort of silly, stupid, mocking gesture that someone would make on like how a girl would throw is exactly how she threw this table at the window. It was just the silliest, dumbest looking thing. And then Krysten Ritter, she's not large. Like, she is, I think I've mentioned this in another episode of mine, where one of my like biggest pet peeves with some of the new television series is that they will cast someone that's like 100 pounds soaking wet, and then they'll put them up against like a much bigger like man villain, and we're supposed to believe that that woman, despite not having any muscle mass, would have like kicked his butt, you know? And that happens sort of later on and sort of through the series, I feel like, is that she's skinny. She doesn't have, in my opinion, like, it's not a Sarah Connor type thing. And even Tatiana Maslany, I feel like, sort of had more of that just muscle. And maybe I'm just remembering it wrong or confusing it with like She-Hulk, but I feel like she looked a little bit beefier, or like more like she could hold her own, whereas Krysten Ritter is just very thin and, in my opinion, kind of dainty. And she goes up against this guy and just is overpowering him. He doesn't seem to be able to get the upper hand. Like, it's only out of just this sheer coincidence of someone else being there that she ends up getting saved in that situation, but not because she hasn't overpowered him a couple of times or outsmarted him a couple of times before then. And it's so unrealistic. And a lot of it just seems so silly and dumb to me in this new version, where I'm just not interested in continuing on watching this series, and like not willing to sit through the whole thing, because it's not my personal cup of tea, a lot of the elements of it. It's just more dramatic. There's more like romancy elements in this one, which in sci-fi stuff can be okay, but like they went the sort of CW route where you get like intimate scenes, but like CW style intimate scenes that I don't care. I'm in Orphan Black for like the sci-fi badassery of it. I'm not in Orphan Black for high school romance, you know, kind of things like that's. I will watch Pride and Prejudice or like anything Jane Austen if I want feel good romancy type stuff. I tune into Orphan Black, especially if you're telling me it's a thriller series. I'm not anticipating the pilot episode to jump into secret love affair. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not where my mind is going right out of the gate. But yeah, so Orphan Black Echoes for me is a total loss. I did not enjoy this one at all. You guys will have to let me know what you think of it if you have watched this one. Subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.